Hey YouTube, Richard Duck here. And in this video, I want to make a quick review and give you some of my high-level thoughts and opinions on my Tru-Tone C9 Christmas light bulbs that I've had for a few years now. I've got a couple seasons out of them, so I feel like I'm in kind of a good place to give my thoughts and opinions on, how they look, how they function, anything that things I like, things I don't like. Um, to cut to the chase, I really do like these Christmas lights quite a bit. I think they're one of, if not the best Christmas lights on the market, at least in the like vintage Christmas light category. They were kind of the first to market, I believe, with a vintage style LED bulb. So that is one with a little bit of a warmer color temperature that is more indicative of like a vintage incandescent light versus a lot of LED based Christmas lights you'll see out there. They have a cooler color temperature. They're a little bit harsh to the eyes. Sometimes, they're recreating the colors like with the LEDs themselves, but this is like using like a warm, almost like an amber light LED filament, and then they're like filtering that through like a painted glass, just like how Christmas lights would have reproduced those colors back in the day. And I think they do a really good job. So yeah, just wanted to give my high level thoughts here. The first thing I think that you can say about Tru-Tone is they do such a great job with their packaging. You'll see like a lot of people comment about these. It has like that retro vintage look and feel to it, right? New Tru-Tone bulbs, light bulbs, superior LED decorative bulbs that look just like vintage incandescent. These have such a great look, in a nice, like quality cardboard box here. So this is great. Yeah, they come in, I bought these packs of 25 bulbs that they sell. They have like multicolored sets that you can get. So there's like the multicolored C9 bulbs that they sell in C7s. And then you can just get them in like different variations. So these are the candle glow ones. These are basically like the clear ones. So we'll take a look at that. But then they have different color variations that I'll show here in a second. I've got red, green, purple, and orange that we can take a look at. But yeah, I love the packaging. It just looks so good. This is like what I would imagine, if you were to step back in time into like the 1950s, and go into a hardware store or like a department store. I think these this packaging would just fit right in on the shelves back then. But yeah, 25 bulbs. They're rated for indoor outdoor use. So because they're LED based, they consume a lot less energy than your typical incandescent lights. So they're saying 0.6 watts per bulb here. These are the C9 size, excuse me. So this is the larger size you might see outside, on people's roof lines or on their windows. And they're also fully dimmable as well. So we'll take a look at that. And yeah, great packaging. And I like just the utility of them as like a means to like store the bulbs. Christmas lights by their nature, you're going to take them out and you're going to put them up when the season's over. So these boxes are really nice. I've kept mine in there. I think they do a great job at like protecting the bulbs. And these are glass, right? And so that's something we can talk about, but they are made of glass. So that's kind of a double-edged sword. Like, do you want that look and feel of like real glass? If you do, it does come with the trade-off of them being a little bit more fragile, right? More delicate. So having them packaged this way is really nice. Protects the bulbs a little bit more. I've had one or two. I have quite a few boxes of these. But of all the lights that I have, I've only had one or two that I've accidentally broken, like they've shattered on me. That's because they've, it slipped out of my hand, or it shattered for whatever reason. But yeah, and I know some people will store them a lot of people will store their like their light bulbs like on the actual Christmas light stringers themselves and just like package it all together. But yeah, I think this is probably the better way to go in like storing these bulbs, like especially if you get the glass, if you go down the glass route. If they were plastic, you know, I suppose you could get away with that, but otherwise you'd probably want to be pretty careful with how you handle these. So, you know, that's the C9 bulb, pretty standard shape. This is their like kind of style of filament that they use, this like inverted V that they have here. Up close, I mean, you can kind of tell it's like some sort of LED array. It doesn't look 100% like an actual incandescent element. It's got some sort of coating on there. You know, that might be in part how they achieve a warmer color temperature when these are turned on. But yeah, when they are on, I think they're a lot more convincing as like a stand-in for an incandescent filament. But yeah, these are really nice. Again, they're made of glass. If you can hear that, but yep, these are the clear ones. And I don't know if you can tell they put their little logo or their etching or imprint on each bulb. And so that's a really nice touch. And I think that kind of adds to the vintage feel. Like that seems like something they would have done back in the day that you're probably not going to get on like a cheaper set from like Target or Home Depot. I don't know. But that's the clear. They call them the candle glow. Put these off to the side here. And then I also have the C9 bulbs and their classic color series. These are just the painted glass, right? So these are all solid red. Again, you can they sell them in like multicolored packs. The color palette that I use on my outdoor lights is like, I just like a red, green, kind of color scheme. So the first year I just bought the red and green. And then the second year I got those, the clear candle glow lights. So it's kind of now I'm running like red, green, and clear on my outdoor setup, and I hope to make a video about that in the coming days. But here's the red ones. Yeah, same thing. Great look to them. They've got the imprint or the etching on there, which is really nice. And this is like a painted glass, so it's a little bit of a double-edged sword. Like it definitely it gives it that like vintage look and feel. But it is like, it does make them more delicate. So you need to be careful. I've had a couple that I've accidentally shattered in kind of setting up my lights in I think like years past. These ones, I've had a few instances where maybe the bulb, like, for example, I run these around the perimeter of my garage, and then like on the sides of my garage, I have like a brick texture on the front. And so like these have, in the areas where these are like strung up, the bulbs have like scratched up against like that coarse texture of the brick, and it's like scratched a little bit of the paint off. It's not super noticeable like from far away or like at a distance, but when you're looking at them up close, you can definitely see like where paint scratches off. So just be cognizant of that. Like these are, you got to treat these with care. I wouldn't say that they're like crazy tough or anything like that, where you can just completely abuse them. I think you will definitely diminish their useful life if you do that. So, you know, take care of them. You know, they are a premium product, so you want to kind of, you know, treat that with as much care as possible. So those are the red. And I'm just going to quickly take a look at the green ones. These are the greens. I really like the green that they have. And it may not be able to pick it up on the camera, but as I'm looking at this, like I can see the imperfections in the paint. And for me personally, that's like not a problem. I think it kind of gives them a little bit of character and kind of adds to that vintage charm, but it's not like this uniform coating. And I think you can kind of tell that a little bit when they're turned on, and especially if they're dimmed. You know, it does look like a painted kind of texture, but I love the little logo that they put on there. So that's the green. And those are the primary ones that I run. That I have my Christmas lights outside. Last year I bought these other two colors that I think are really cool. I just haven't like set them up yet. I was thinking Halloween, I might put them up for Halloween. Like the orange and purple color scheme. But I just never got around, or I never made time to put them up during during the Halloween. So maybe next year. So that's the orange. It's cool. And then last but not least, we've got the purple, and I think this color looks really cool. I was reading on their website. I think they've had a few different variations of the purple color, in their like manufacturing process. So I'm not quite sure which one I have, but yeah, if you're looking for purple lights, I think they have some information on their website about that. So maybe take a look. Maybe the first batch that they made was a little bit on the lighter side. The second batch was like a little bit on the darker side. I'm not sure if that was what these were. And then the latest ones they sell, I think are, more of a refined color, but yeah, I guess purple is like maybe a hard color to get right. I don't know. But yeah, that's the purple ones. And yeah, I haven't used the purple or orange really yet, but I have them. I only just bought 2 boxes of those. In anticipation, maybe I'll use them for Halloween. But now I think they actually sell like a complete like Halloween themed light set that you can get with like the really cool box. So that's pretty cool. I'm pretty sure I got these lights before they started doing that. So that's just a quick little unboxing, if you will, I guess, of the Tru-Tone lights. So now let's go ahead and hook these up to a test string that I have, and maybe we can take a look at them, turned on. All right, so here's this little test string that I made. So I could have a few different bulbs on here. I've got this hooked up to a dimmer setup, so I'll go ahead and turn these guys on, turn them all the way to the max, and then let's go ahead and turn this light off and see if we can get a better look here. So yeah, right away to my eyes, they're very convincing, I think, in person as kind of a replacement for like those vintage incandescent lights. The camera might not be doing them justice in like how it's picking them up, right? I'm kind of looking at the viewfinder here, and they're a little bit blown out, but maybe if I dim them down, I can, I don't know if I can play with the focus a little bit here. But yeah, in person, I think they're really convincing as incandescent lights. They look indistinguishable to me. I don't have any ones to compare, but you'd fool me, and I think you'd fool a lot of other people into thinking these are actual incandescent lights. But when you go to touch them, of course, because they're LED based, they're completely cool to the touch, so that's great. I would feel safe, like the old incandescent style, especially the C9 size or like the C7 ones. I would feel nervous about putting those on even an artificial tree, but especially like a real tree. So if you wanted these big, C7, C9 bulbs on your tree, but we're always a little bit concerned about like there being a fire hazard, that's definitely a benefit to go for the LED equivalent. So there's the purple here. And yeah, like I don't know if you can kind of see up close the paint, the painted glass, right? It has some imperfections, but again, I really like that. I think it gives them character. But a downside is, right, like if they are scratched, there's a little tiny nick there, but I don't think any of these ones I have any examples, but if you do scratch them a little bit, like against like a coarse texture, like your siding or brick, it can wear that glass away. So just be careful with them when you go to install the lights. And that logo looks really cool on the bulbs. That's the purple, the orange here. Oh, that's a little bit of a better view. The camera, I think, is picking up a little bit of that refresh rate. I'm not super sensitive to like flicker in in person. I know there's some people out there that are much more sensitive to it, but for me personally, like I don't really notice it. Like it's very pleasant as I'm looking at them. When I'm looking at the camera, I can see sometimes the flicker is perceptible. And I think we'll maybe pick that up when I dim them a little bit. But yeah, if if you're super sensitive to that, I don't know that these are going to change anything for you personally. Anecdotally, I think I've heard some people online say that they seem better than other LED based options, but I'm not sure. I'm not super sensitive to that, so I couldn't tell you. Oh, here's the green. I really like the green in person. There's the logo. And then I don't know if you can see there, but here's an example of like where the paint has kind of scratched off a little bit. So yeah, it's a double-edged sword, right? Like the vintage, these are real glass bulbs. They're painted. It gives them that it helps to contribute to that like classic, warm color feel, but treat them with care, or as carefully as possible. Otherwise you might have imperfections like that you create inadvertently. So that's the green. I really like the green in person. It's a little bit more rich to my eyes compared to like what I see the cameras picking up. But here's the red. I think the red looks really great. I think that might be my favorite of the colors that they make, at least for the classic color, the solid colors, the ones that are opaque. Yeah. And then of course the clear here. So yeah, I think, yeah, once it's on and like a little bit of a distance, like these are pretty convincing as incandescent. So I will try and maybe turn these down just a little bit. Let's see how these look dimmed a little bit more. So I think that looks pretty good. I don't know if the camera is picking up any flicker. But yeah, they're dimmable, so that's nice. I have an order of the C7 jewel tones, which are the kind of translucent color bulbs that I'm going to put on my Christmas tree. I love the outdoor lights. I love the Tru-Tone bulbs so much for my outdoor Christmas light setup. I wanted to have more of a classic Christmas tree setup and use like the C7 bulbs, which are a little bit smaller than these, but I got them in the jewel tone, and I got the complete light sets from Tru-Tone. So I hope to make a video on those, because I think that's maybe the best example of the packaging that they have, compared to anything else that they sell. So I'm excited to kind of unbox those and give my first impressions. But yeah, I think those ones will look really impressive, like on the tree and being able to dim them. But these are the classic color ones, just the solid opaque ones, and they look great, I think. So see how low we can dim them. Okay, so there's kind of a threshold of how dim they will go, but I think these look great. That'll do it for this video. This is just, maybe the first in a multi-part video series where I take a look at the different Tru-Tone bulbs. Like I said, I've got some new products on order. I hope to get my hands on. There's a few other new ones that they are rumored to be coming out with. I think like the mini LEDs and like a twinkle variant of these candle glow ones that kind of randomly flickers on and off. So those I think would be really cool to have in my on my outdoor Christmas lights, and I hope to maybe snag those when those become available. But yeah, I hope to make some more videos when I get the C7s in. I'll do an unboxing of those, and then maybe like a quick video of my tree when I get that set up, and then my outside when I get that set up as well. So hope you liked the video. Leave a like if you did, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you.